Yokoli Ubaja, newspaper reviewer, is right here. He's been saying some things in my ears. I don't know if to say they are sweet or not.
Those things were not studio talk. Please, can we concentrate on this?
Somebody said they were sweet nothings.
Yeah, Ray, how are you doing?
Very well, Chukudi. Good to see you.
Wonderful woman. And how's Mr. John himself doing?
Great.
Oh boy, how you doing?
Mr. Azu is doing well, thank you.
By his grace.
Yeah, Ray, let's go.
All right, let's begin with the Nation newspaper. The Nation leads with fireworks in U.S. Congress over Nigeria's insecurity. Lawmakers plate on religious labeling of insurgency. That's the lead story here. Above that, Nnamdi Kanu gets life sentence for terrorism. IPOB chief found guilty on all 7 counts. All right, above that story, above the masthead, okay, I think we'll look below the front page of the Nation newspaper now. We have Tinubu sent Metawale to Kebbi, 900 troops to Kwara. That's on page 4. DSS files terrorism charges against 9 IPOB commanders linked to Simon Ekpa. You can find that on page 4. Wolawar's grandson, Olusegun, dies at 62. Details on page 4. And finally, Lagos allocates 245 billion naira bonds to critical infrastructure. You can find all of these deeds in the Nation. Let's see the Daily Sun now. The Daily Sun says family group kick as Nnamdi Kanu gets life imprisonment. The riders convicted on all 7 counts will appeal judgment, says legal consultant. Southeast expected the sentencing. That's according to Abaribe. All hope not lost, Reps Deputy Speaker. All right, that's on pages 5 and 6. Above that, insecurity. Senate vows to restore normalcy in Southeast. Leaders demand end to open grazing. And just beside the masthead this morning, on the front page of the Daily Sun, Kwara shut schools in 5 local government areas over bandit attacks. Afenifere expresses shock over terrorist attacks. That's on page 26. And below the picture story, 2 in 3 Nigerian children live in multidimensional poverty. That's according to UNICEF. Nigeria, really disgraced nation overwhelmed by insecurity. Peter Obi. All right, let's move away from that. Schoolgirls abduction. Tinubu orders Matawale to relocate to Kebbi. That's also right here. And APC governors seek urgent rescue. Finally, moves by international actors, interest groups to label Nigeria country of religious intolerance troubling. That's according to the federal government. All right, Victor.
All right, thank you, Ian Ray. And I have a blueprint here. Just above the nameplate, Lassa fever deaths hit 177 as Nigeria records rise in new infections. That's according to the NCDC, rather, and it's on page 12. Elsewhere, resident doctors refute Labour Ministry's claims of progress, insist strike continues. You find details of that on page 10. And a screaming headline here, terrorists kill Christians and Muslims in Nigeria. That's credited to the Pope. No genocide in Benue, says Governor Alia. All right, and FCTA goes after R of O, C of O defaulters next week. All right, most of the rest I think have been taken in the other dailies, but Chukudi Okolubaja, perhaps you want to take a shot at this.
That's your
genocide claim.
That's your house in nature. I hope you have CFO for it. Genocide claim. Let's start from the Pope's statement. You know, he spoke on Tuesday, really. You know, the Nigerian situation sometimes blackmails you. Some of us who are Christians who tell you, please do not give this thing a religious coloration. We get blackmailed. We get told, oh, stop that nonsense on social media, you're abused and all that. But you've got to say things the way they are. Let's go back to when actually there was a seeming religious tone to it. How did they start? You remember 2011? Madala, Jos, Damaturu, Gadaka or whatever, Christmas Day bombings. They started like that. But after moderate Muslims did not join them, because come to think of it, you're talking about a handful of people trying to lord themselves over moderate Muslims who want to live with their neighbor, whatever their faith is. That is, you have to historically follow this thing. So when we say, please don't say it's Muslims and all that, yes, when they started, they wanted to make it Muslims against Christians. But the generality of Muslims were not fooled. And they got annoyed with those Muslims who did not join them. That was what happened. So I'm not surprised that the Pope is loaning his voice to this. People want to go, to go about this thing with sentiment and all that, would not arrive at accurate conclusions. But at the end of the day, what we're saying is every life is sacrosanct. It's unfortunate but that in Nigeria we talk about a Muslim life and a Christian life. You talk about a Yoruba man and a Hausa man. Those are indications of societies that are still evolving to standards that are respected in humanity. We need to get out from that. When a bomb happens in a mosque, let Christians and Muslims join hands to even rebuild that mosque. Didn't the Muslims in Egypt do it when the Coptic Christians church was brought down? Muslims went and rebuilt it. You know, when Nigerians talk, they do not loan you credibility as somebody who also listens to things that happen in other parts of the world. And that's where the likes of me become stubborn. Please, every life is important. Let's safeguard them. Let's put an end to terrorism. But let's try to be dispassionate when we talk. Because sometimes you find out you're pouring kerosene into an inferno. You're going to make it a conflagration. I think we need to tune our minds to that properly. Kano, the sentencing has happened yesterday. Of course, it throws up many questions. The person I want to listen to, I've listened to the man who was NEC chairman, Amadi. I've seen what Abaribe has there. I've seen, but he's the deputy Senate, the deputy representative, House of Representatives speaker, that I want to dwell more in what he said. Because when you get to a place, a point in life, and you don't begin to put out leadership statements, you are not helpful to your environment. He says a political solution would eventually be sought to the Kanu matter. That is what I think. And Victor, here, while we are talking about this, you're talking about the judicial process. People are not even talking about the real thing to Chukwudi. The real thing is, what is the attitude of the average Southeast person to Kanu eventually becoming free? What level of fence mending would be done in the Southeast for that stage? Because we pray that that stage must be reached. He's a young man, intelligent young man. I don't know how much wisdom he has deployed in the process, but he's intelligent. What the fence mending needed in the Southeast, whenever we get to the level where government could decide to give a political situation to it, is very important. I asked the other time, who really is keeping Kanu in jail? You may be surprised that politicians from that part of Nigeria are saying, if this boy come out, no problem we do, leave him there. You don't know these things. You have to be dispassionate over certain matters in life. But my own is, let there be a solution to this eventually. Because people are drawing parallel comparisons. You sentence a terrorist, a proven terrorist, to 25 years. It doesn't, then somebody who was telling people to behead policemen, kill soldiers, he just said it on one radio and all that. This is the man you're, you know. The court does not think like that. They consider so many things. But my own is, let there be a political solution to this, because that is what is going to eventually solve this matter, the way I say it.
Of course.
That's my opinion.
Of course, we need a solution, and as fast as possible, because this report here about Kwara shutting schools in 5 local government areas over bandit attacks is not a good one at all.
You're looking exactly the way Claire looked 4 days ago. She was practically shedding tears. Yes, it's an ill wind that blows no one any good. But you see, again, I like to be circumspect about these things. Why Kebi? In a few days, Kwara. You might hear another one. It tells you that fifth columnists might be behind these things. Yes. To give somebody a bad name, to give a group of people a bad name. People could say, for instance, since we can't fault him on the economic terrain, it seems to be, let's see how we can show that this government is ineffective. At the end of the day, it's the job of government to go out to make sure that loopholes do not exist for things like this to happen. That's it. You have to have a broad-minded approach to all these things because human beings are capable of anything at all. That's it. I won't be surprised if 3 days from now you hear that another kidnap has happened somewhere.
God forbid. We do not want to hear any of such news.
Okay.
Instead, we want to hear that those that have been
May
abducted
it happen
have
the way
been released.
you have spoken.
Yes,
there's power in the tongue.
Have been released. That's just it. But you see, Chukudi, I like the way that you speak about this issue, and I'm wondering why some leaders will come out and begin to condemn the country in a situation like this. I'm saying that because of this report that says Nigeria really disgraced nation, overwhelmed by insecurity, and that's coming from.
Did I see P2B somewhere there?
Yes.
I read that. I didn't even want to go there.
Is this a time to
wait a minute? Wait a minute. You hear? I don't talk about P2B. There are many things I like about P2B, but there are also certain things. If I were strategizing for him in terms of communication, there are things I'll tell him, bros. You get a CBO. You don't have to mimic Trump exactly. You can talk about the things happening in Nigeria, disgraced nation and all that does not have to come in. It's not strategic communication. I didn't even want to go there. I didn't. You see, the good thing for us is that we're trained in the newsroom in such a way that we are made dispassionate. I'm talking about old school journalists because some of the things I now see, I'm sorry, I'm not better than anyone. But there was a way we were. Dele Giwa was Dele Giwa for Nigeria. Yakubu Mohammed was Yakubu Mohammed for Nigeria. Dan Agbese was Dan Agbese for Nigeria. Reekbu was Reekbu for Nigeria. Can you say that for many journalists in the present day? That is the point. That quality of the human being that suggests leadership utterances. People have to learn it. It has nothing to do with having money. It has everything to do with nurturing thinking.
Indeed. And,
nurturing thinking.
This one here talks about Lassa fever deaths hitting 177 as Nigeria records rise in new infections.
The point you want to make is Lassa fever alarm has been on for more than a year now. By now, we should have been able to cap it. By now, what is it we're doing that we shouldn't be doing? And what is it we're not doing that we should be doing? When an illness announces itself, an epidemic as it's becoming now, it means you need solutions to it. Was COVID not tamed? Of course, during the cold, COVID will never leave humanity. But at least there are drugs now to, deal with it. But again, it tells you where our health system is. I was complaining bitterly here over getting a place to do X-ray for somebody. Because I couldn't get it where it's cheap. In the government hospitals. Where are we headed? Where are we headed? What are we allocating to health? Health first. If Keir Starmer is going to fall today, two things will take him down. That's the British Prime Minister. Health and economy. Health and economy. They've handled security, all those things we are still battling with. Health first. We need to put everything in it. Lassa fever should not be walking towards.
While we are talking health, resident doctors are refuting Labour Ministry's claim of progress, insisting strike continues.
I don't know whether the continuing the strike is a strategic move. That's the second time I'm using strategic this morning. Let them make their points because the health situation is bad. It is bad.
Many thanks, Chukudi.
I just told you of my experience.
Many thanks, Chukudi.
We need to work for Nigeria. The green, white, green beckons to us. Please.
All right. We hope it will get better. We hope that we'll hear good news over the weekend. By the way, Chukudi, have a great weekend.
You too.
See you on Monday.
Things will get better.
Hopefully.